So if you've ever been to my channel before, or at least watched my last video where I installed peel and stick wallpaper, then you know that I'm preparing my wall to hang a barn door. So come along and you're gonna watch me prepare that backing so that I can hang that barn door. Let's get started. So what you're seeing now is me using 80 grit sandpaper to file down the spots where I've used wood filler in order to fill in some gaps that were in the wood. So while my videos are normally very detailed and include all steps, I didn't include the step where I actually inserted the wood filler because normally I only use a wood filler that is able to be painted over, but this time I decided to stain the wood, and so it wasn't the right one. However, if you stick around for my barn door series, I will show you just how to use wood filler that is able to be stained. And if you decide to stick around until the end of this video, then you're in for a real treat because I'm going to show you just how I corrected the problem that I created by using a non-stainable wood filler. Since my number one objective when I'm doing my DIYs are to show you simple, easy ways that you can DIY like the champs you are, I went ahead and showed you that it is possible to hand sand where you use the wood filler. However, throughout the video, you are going to see me use a power tool, but you don't need it if you don't have one. So after manually sanding with 80 grit sandpaper, I then moved on to 120 grit sandpaper using my power tool. So while you continue to watch me sand, again using 120 grit sandpaper, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you can't quite commit to subscribing to my channel just yet, go ahead and still support this channel by liking and commenting on this video. Thanks in advance. So while I have the chance, I also want to remind you that the top priority over at Simply Champ TV is safety first. We don't want to save a whole bunch of money by DIYing to spend it all at the hospital. So remember to wear your safety gear. I even took the liberty of installing a video of me that I accidentally recorded wearing my safety gear. I just couldn't delete it. And let's hop right back into that hand sanding. So I went ahead and picked up 220 grit sandpaper just because I wanted to show you that it is possible to manually sand using a higher grit sandpaper. And I'm pretty sure by now you understand that there's a lot of sanding involved. Allow me to speed things up. And so following sanding, I went ahead and took a rag and wiped down the wood. Following wiping down the wood with the dry rag, I then went ahead and prepped my staining station. So when selecting your staining station, you just want to go ahead and be sure that you're placing your wood in an area where it can go unbothered for at least 2 hours. So while you watch me prepare my staining station, I just want to go ahead and point out how hard saying staining station really is. Go ahead and comment if you tried. And after preparing your area, I'm pretty sure you guessed it, it's time to start staining. In order to apply my stain, I decided to use a piece of sponge. However, if you know any tricks or any other material that I should have used to apply the stain, go ahead and drop a comment below and let me know what I should have done. Using the flow of the grain of wood as my guide, I used a back and forth motion. I just want to go ahead and encourage you again to subscribe to my channel. You don't want to miss the rest of this barn door series, so you might as well hit the bell notification so that you don't miss any of the videos that I upload. So here's where I noticed that I wasn't quite liking how the backing was turning out using the stain. Even though I'm going for a boring look, it just didn't fit the image that I had in my head. And at first, I thought that I was just using the stain wrong until I noticed that it was only in the areas where I used the wood filler. I just want to state that if you use a stainable wood filler, that this step is absolutely unnecessary. However, using my multi-tool, I went ahead and placed a 60 grit sandpaper to go ahead and file off not only the stain, but as well as the wood filler. So in a circular motion using medium pressure, I went ahead and sanded off both the stain and the wood filler. And while I know you've been in the gym and you're super strong, now isn't the time to show it. You don't want to apply so much pressure that you end up sanding down the wood. I just want to go ahead and remind you that this step is specifically because I used a wood filler that was not stainable. Typically, you would not go back down to a 60 grit sandpaper. For anyone that would like to see what it looked like before filing off the stain and the wood filler that wasn't stainable, here's a view. After making the correction of using a non-stainable wood filler, I went ahead and propped up my piece of wood so that I could stain the trim. And so again, using the flow of the grain of wood, I used a back and forth motion to apply the stain to the trim. Immediately after applying the stain to the trim, I went ahead and laid the wood flat and used a sponge to smooth out any of the stain that had run onto the face of the wood. And here's just a view of what the wood looked like after using one coat of stain. After applying my second coat of stain, I went ahead and brought the wood inside, made my last few measurements to make cuts before applying the polyurethane. So the next clip is me carrying the wood back out with my little helper.
Little ant march, march, little ant march.
This time using a paintbrush, again using the flow of the grain of wood to be my guide, I began applying my first coat of polyurethane. And since this is my first time, anyone who has ever used stain or polyurethane and considers themselves a pro or even just better than I am, go ahead and comment below and support me by letting me know what I could have done better or what I should do better next time. After applying my first coat of polyurethane, I took an hour and a half snack break, and then I came back out and began to sand. After applying my first coat of polyurethane, I then used a 240 grit sandpaper on my multi-tool to sand down the polyurethane, because at this point I was simply using the instructions because this is my first time using polyurethane. So again, comment below and let me know what I should do better next time. So after sanding down my first coat of polyurethane using a 240 grit sandpaper, I went ahead and used a wet rag to remove any dust from the area. Then I went ahead and took an hour and a half lunch break, and then I began applying my second coat of polyurethane. you after making the correction of using a non-stainable wood filler and 2 coats of polyurethane. And just like that, we've just simply DIY'd prepared our backing for our barn door, like the chance we are. I'm super proud of you, and I hope you stick around for the rest of my barn door series, because in the next video, I'm going to show you just how I hung this backing. See you next time.